In 1900, every geneticist in the world, including American geneticists, were eugenicists, okay? They thought that the function of genetics was to purify the race. That if there's mental retardation around, you should get rid of it. So people began in the United States, as elsewhere, to begin to sterilize mentally retarded individuals. In America, after a while, public opinion rose against this, and it was stopped, even though there was a law for the longest time in the books that permitted sterilization. In Germany, this was picked up very seriously, picked up by my profession, psychiatrists, who not only sterilized kids who were imbeciles, but after a while began to say, look, we have reason to believe that schizophrenia is genetic. That's passed on from generation to generation. We should sterilize schizophrenics. First-degree relatives, they also are likely to pass this on. So they began to sterilize first-degree relatives. They began to entertain euthanasia. Years before Hitler came to power, Hitler picked this up and describes this tendency in a positive way, something desirable, in Mein Kampf. So there was an independent, if you will, a distortion of scientific thinking within the scientific community that gave him additional ideas of how he could work out his anti-Semitism in such a brutal way. So it's a multi-determined thing, and I'm not answering it because I'm not qualified to answer it. But there were several streams that came together. One is that anti-Semitism has been indigenous to Europe, since the destruction of the Jewish state. And periodically, this has been used in a brutal way, and certainly Hitler took advantage of that. In Austria, the latent anti-Semitism had been profound throughout. It is a miracle that during a period of Franz Joseph, this abated to some degree, around 1848. He realized that Austria would never be a great military power. Through Maria Theresia, they'd lost one battle after another. So he realized that the boundaries they have now were the boundaries they would keep. And he got the idea, and he was supported by many aristocrats, that Austria would specialize in its intellectual strength. It had a lot of different peoples. It had Slavs, it had Poles, a mixture of races that could be quite energizing. And many of these, with the liberal laws that Franz Joseph promulgated, moved to Vienna and gave rise from about 1880 to the time I was there, to a fantastic culture that was really the envy of the world, but also, could be a target for anti-Semitism because a lot of Jews participated in that. So lots of factors sort of contributed to this. So despite the fact that the Jews and non-Jews had a magnificent outburst of creativity together, that did not constrain anti-Semitism that was indigenous in Austria. And Hitler just played into that because he felt it. In part, he also felt this was politically wise to do.